Hello, hello, and welcome. This is Light Sprinkles. You're listening to Spring Ulrich, and I am here talking to you about guilt. This can be a heavy one. So, I want to just come on here and chat with you for a little bit, just get real and raw about some guilt. Guilt that can accompany loss and death, and that can accompany grief. So let's just get right into it. When I was experiencing the loss of my late husband through cancer and melanoma, there was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of guilt in what I could have done differently, how I could have shown up differently. Perhaps maybe I was the reason. There's some piece in the back of the mind of maybe he got sick because of something I did, which isn't logical, but it was part of what I went through and part of the piece I got to process and experience, especially believing in things such as I create my own reality and I'm responsible for everything I create, or I attract my own reality. If you've heard of The Secret and things like that, then there was this guilt piece of how did I create this? This isn't what I planned. This wasn't part of my vision board. This wasn't part of any reality that I'm wanting any part of. And so there was that guilt piece of, whoa, what did I ask for that manifested this garbage? This was not my intention. This isn't what I wanted. So there was a big piece of guilt on, whoa, where did I go wrong here on my path in creating this experience that I really don't want to have? And so there was that guilt in that belief mindset of being a full creator of my own reality. And what I tapped into just the other day with a conversation was a clarity moment for me, was to be able to shift that, because there always felt like that there was this real responsibility piece that I love to take into my life, and I feel like it's a powerful place to come from, and it feels much better than any alternative that I am a powerful creator in my life and that I'm responsible and I can take on the responsibility for the things that happen in my life. And that's a powerful place to come from. And my friend had suggested that she used to have that same mindset and mind frame as well, that she was a creator of the total and full of her reality. And then she realized, no, I'm a co-creator of my reality. And I really felt like that for me fit really well, that yeah, I'm a co-creator. I'm not the only one in this experience and and reality, and I'm a co-creator. So try that on, see if that fits for you, if that resonates at all. And I'd like to talk about the emotion of guilt and some of the things that can trigger that guilt emotion in so many dynamics, from religious guilt to guilt placed or expectations that others have of you that you might not be able to fulfill anymore, or relationships that no longer continue or to thrive anymore, or things that shift in your life, and the guilt that can come from so many realms, from the feeling of not knowing who you are anymore because the person that you have lost is no longer there. So it shakes every piece of your foundation to the core and really brings it back to the fundamentals and the foundation to ask what is and how is this, how do I get to rebuild this new life. So there can be a lot of guilt in the loss of a loved one, especially if it's someone who is part of your daily experience and someone that is super close to you, a child, a friend, a parent, a spouse. And for me, it was my spouse. For my now husband, he had it big. He had the experience of being widowed and losing his son at the same time, and his dog. So he had like the worst possible country song ever. And in that, I know that there's guilt that he has dealt with and has had to face in not being able to save them. They had passed in an automobile accident, and in a tragic accident, and he was actually in the automobile just the guilt that he carries and that he's had to face and deal with, and how he's got to look at that and continue on with his life and continue to move forward. Guilt is huge, and it can be something to look at over and over again and unlayer and unpack layer by layer. And it's not always easy. It's not always simple. And it can be done with conscious awareness and being able to recognize it first, and to be able to find some forgiveness for yourself. That is the biggest key. The other side of guilt can be the forgiveness piece, to be able to forgive yourself and recognize and realize that you're doing the best you can. Yeah. And for myself, at some point, I'd love to be able to bring my husband on here, and I know that he'd love to be able to come on here and have a few conversations with us to give his male perspective, his male experience, and another insight on what it's been like for him, since he's not only lost one, but two really amazing people in his life, and how that's impacted him and the guilt that he's had to deal with and grapple with. And for now, I could probably share, but without his permission, I want to, keep it to my experience and the guilt that I've had to deal with. I've had to deal with the guilt of even going through his personal items and his things and trying to figure out what to let go of and what to keep, and how to deal with just the physical stuff. And if I let go of something, I wouldn't be able to get it back. And then I might feel guilty about letting go of an item or something that maybe my son might have wanted or found interest in. And how long do I hold on to that item? And what things is he going to cherish, or what things is he going to be interested in? And then the other piece is, I don't want to put something on that I think he should want, or that he needs to be attached to, and to put the expectation and the onus on him for, now, here you go, son, here's this big amount of stuff that you now can just deal with, and that they should be interested in. And so just all of how do I go through this in a way that is peaceful, loving, and kind, and what's the best way? Is there a right way? And what's going to be in the best and highest good for him, for me, and for everyone involved? What's the best way to honor my late husband and honor myself and how much I can actually keep, and honor my son, who's so small, who at this time might not be interested in it, but when he's a teenager or an adult, perhaps he might be interested in some of these items. And so there can be guilt around stuff. There can be guilt around, even if you have any insurance, the insurance money that might come in from a death, the guilt in that and receiving that money. That can be big too. Just dealing with the guilt of the financial security that can come. And I know that might not be a fun topic, but it can be real, especially if you have an experience that way, that you've had an experience where there was any financial donations or money that has come to help you pay for your bills, or to help you pay for the raising of your children, or to take care of whatever it is that people might donate or put together a drive for you to get through the difficult tragedy or trauma or experience that you've been through, or any insurance money that you might have had in place with your spouse, or any insurance claim that might have come in that has benefited you monetarily. It doesn't replace them. It doesn't replace the person. And I, for one, can speak that no amount of money, I would have rather have had my husband than any amount of money. And I think that, and I'm pretty sure that you would agree, that the people that you love in your life, there's no amount of money. No amount of money. None. There is not a dollar that you can put on their life. All I wanted was my husband back. All I wanted was to see him be able to raise our son with me and to grow old with me. I would have much rather have had that than any sort of financial benefit or gain. And so there can be big guilt around that receiving. And to be able to clear that and clean that up so that you can powerfully move forward in your life and receive that as a gift and be able to allow yourself to continue to receive more and more benefits, blessings, and love in your life, because you absolutely deserve the best. So let's see, what else? What else did I feel guilty about? I think a big one was things that we didn't do that we wish we could have done and that we can't take back. My late husband, when he was on his spirit walk, when he was on his last week, on his last days, one of the last things I remember, I think it was maybe a day, maybe 2 days before his passing, he requested, I told him we were going to go out for ice cream, we were going to take a break and leave the house, and I was going to take our son for ice cream, and my wonderful friend that was there assisting me at the bedside and with my son during this very difficult time, because we were out of state with his family, and we were staying at a family's house, sister-in-law's house, and it was a very messy and rocky time for us. And so we were going to go get away from it all and just go have some ice cream. We needed to take a break and go have some fun. And I still needed to make sure that I was bringing in joy for my son, who was 2, and didn't fully, I didn't want him to just be fully filled with nothing but sadness and grief and the heaviness of what he was experiencing. I knew that on every level, he got what was going on. Even if he didn't fully understand and grasp what it all meant, he was feeling the energies. He was so sensitive that I knew he was experiencing what was going on. So we needed a break and we needed to go get some ice cream. So I told my late husband, we're going to go get ice cream. And he actually requested ice cream. And let me give you some background here. He had chosen to go for more of a health journey to beat the cancer and to try to stay and save his life. And so he chose himself to go on a more naturalistic, holistic way, because the medical industry did not give him really any statistics that he thought would be at all the direction he wanted to go in. They gave him a 2 to 5% chance of survival. And he said, whoa, what does that look like? And they said, well, maybe 2 to 5% that you might make it 1, maybe 2 years, but you'll be in the hospital the entire time. You'll be undergoing treatment the entire time. And he's like, that quality of life does not sound good. That does not sound fun. I think I'll take my chances in the more natural and holistic way. So he was trying to use diet and anything else natural and in that natural realm to be able to heal himself through diet and all kinds of healing foods and herbs and all kinds of things. So anyway, he had decided that he wasn't going to do any sugar, 0 sugar, nothing of that, and just do really live foods, greens, and really pH balanced alkaline foods and high alkalinity water and just super, super bioavailable, wonderful healing foods for the cells. And he'd actually requested ice cream. And I was like, what, really? You really want ice cream? And I kind of questioned him. I was like, no, like, I don't remember if I actually said no or if I just was like kind of questioning him, like, what, are you sure you want ice cream? And I didn't just get it for him. And there was that part of me that was so still hoping that he was going to beat this, that the fear was any little drop of sugar would compound it and make the cancer explode even more significantly than it already had. And so, of course, that was my fear and my protection mode of just going, no, we've got to be able to beat this. And any amount of sugar is going to completely go the opposite direction that we're going. Instead of being able to be real of where we were at and accept that he wasn't going to make it and that he wasn't going to heal, I wasn't ready to accept that. I was absolutely not ready to give up on him, and I did not want him to go. And so I didn't choose to bring him home ice cream. I didn't choose to bring that to him and just let him enjoy the desire that he had. And, I don't know what kind of guilt I put on him for even wanting that and being like, what? Do you really want ice cream right now? Like, I thought we were doing this. We're healing. We're not giving up. And I don't know what kind of guilt to this day that he might have carried for even vocalizing that desire. And I really the guilt that I carry is that I didn't just get him the ice cream. I didn't just say, you know what? I'm getting him ice cream. Because it's ice cream. And that could have been one of the most wonderful last meals that he could have enjoyed. Like truly enjoyed, not just the green smoothies and the other, foods that, can be really wonderful and tasty, but that he was desiring, and I didn't get that for him. And I've had to forgive myself for that because I wanted my husband to stay alive. And I really truly believe the things we were doing were going to benefit him and assist him and perhaps some way, somehow turn this thing around and start healing him and go the other direction. And that's not what we got. He passed the next day or the day after. Can't remember if it was the day before or it was within that short window of time. And I wish I could go back and just get him ice cream, but I can't. So there's guilt in that. And there can be guilt in the choices we made or the choices we didn't make before someone's passing. So I share that with you because I feel like maybe someone can hear that. And if they have a similar story, if they have an experience where they're holding on to some guilt, that you can just give yourself the pass and forgive yourself and know that, and I know that my late husband would absolutely want me to forgive myself, and he would just be saying, honey, oh, please, just let it go. It's okay. Like, I forgive you for not getting me ice cream. Like, it's so small compared to some other things. So let it go. So I encourage you to let go and forgive yourself. Give yourself a pass and do what you can to just rid yourself of any guilt, any and all guilt, because it doesn't really serve us in any real capacity other than to bring awareness and caution to something, to say, whoa, something's up here. Take a look at it. It's not, in my opinion, I don't feel like it's meant to be carried and to be used as a continual tool to hammer ourselves with, or a continual tool to continue to be mean or critical with yourself. I feel like it's a great way to bring awareness, and that's what it's meant to do, is to bring our awareness to something and say, hey, there's healing that gets to happen here, or there's, caution, there's something there's something here that isn't in alignment or that you need to look at, and to bring awareness. And once you come to the awareness, then you can say, oh, thank you. And now I can move on. So if you're carrying guilt about anything in your life, I recommend you look at it and say, why am I feeling this guilt? What was the experience? What was happening during that time? And how can I be more gracious with myself and forgiving of myself of what I was going through, and trusting that you were doing the best that you could at the time. And yeah, you probably could have made a different decision, but you can't go back and change that now. So how can you look at it with your eyes today in a really loving way and be able to offer up yourself that piece of forgiveness so that you can not have it be the thing that holds you down, holds you back, or makes you feel like you're less than you truly are? Is that guilt dimming your light, dimming your brightness, and dimming your energy? If you didn't have that guilt anymore, how would you show up? If you fully forgave yourself and you didn't carry the guilt anymore, how would your life be different? How different would you hold yourself in your body? How much more free would you feel? What might you take on? How might you use your voice if you no longer felt guilty about anything that you've done in your life? If you could truly forgive yourself and forgive others that have transgressed or hurt you or harmed you or betrayed you, how much lighter would you feel? how much more ease in your day could you experience, and how much more of a lightheartedness would you feel upon your heart? How heavy would that backpack that you carry around be right now if you let it go? If you took the backpack off and you just set it down and let it go, if you kicked it off into the cosmos and said, bye-bye, I'm done with this guilt, I'm not packing anymore, how much lighter would you feel? How much lighter would you be? Would you be carrying what you're carrying now, physically and emotionally, if you let go and release the guilt? I have a theory that I think excess weight can be induced by guilt and brought on by guilt. When we're feeling guilty, we want to stuff the emotions, so maybe we overeat or don't pay attention to what our cues and our signals are to hunger pains or hunger and satiety. So if we didn't have all of that guilt and need of protection against the guilt and the inner critic that we have constantly badgering us and beating us up and making us feel less than we truly are, how much more alive and joy would you be able to experience? So I invite you to take a look at that in your life, and perhaps take and utilize these questions in your journal time and answer those questions for yourself. And ask yourself, how can I release this guilt? How can I be more forgiving of myself? Because what I know is when I can forgive myself more for the things that I feel guilty about or feel like I've made a mistake about, then I can be more forgiving of others, way more forgiving of others, and way less critical when I'm less critical of myself. And I can be easier on myself and easier on others. So ask yourself that. Where can I be lighter on myself? Where can I be kinder and more gentle with myself? And where can I release more guilt? And you can even start with the question of, where am I carrying guilt? Or what am I feeling guilty about? And how can I let go of that guilt? How can I look at it differently? And how can I forgive myself? How can I forgive the other person? If you're carrying something for someone else that you get to forgive. Forgiveness can be such a powerful, powerful tool. And take the forgiveness. If you're feeling guilty about something that you did that you felt was really wrong, or that you really just can't take back, and you feel like a miserable person because you've done something that you can't go back and change, and you feel like you've hurt someone very deeply, then look at that and just say, okay, I'm never going to do that again. And do the Honopono Ono, which is a Hawaiian saying for I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you're saying, when you say I'm sorry, you're taking responsibility for the action. When you take responsibility, you become empowered to choose and make a different choice. So I'm sorry. That's the remorse piece. I'm sorry. I'm taking ownership. Please forgive me. And they're asking for forgiveness. Thank you. You're thanking the person for the experience. You're thanking them for the forgiveness. And I love you. And if you can just Honopono Ono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, to yourself. And knowing you can't go back and change it, but that you can energetically commit to saying, okay, there's the learning. That's the piece I needed to learn. And I found the gift in the learning and the experience, and I'm never going to do that thing that I felt so guilty about. And be able to say, I'm ready to let that go. And you can energetically forgive yourself, and you can forgive the person for whatever harm that you may have done. You can forgive yourself, and you can energetically ask for that forgiveness. Or if you are able to ask for forgiveness from the person, you can do what you can, if it's a letter, or if it's just energetically having that person sit across from you and just expressing the feelings that you have about how you want to be forgiven, and doing the I'm sorry for this, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I'd like to share with you A powerful process that I use in my home of forgiveness, of asking for forgiveness. We call it a proper apology. And there are 4 parts. So the first part, when you ask for forgiveness from someone, is to say, I'm sorry for fill in the blank. I'm sorry for, say, I'm going to go to the child experience because I'm a mama and that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm sorry for hitting my brother. Or if they were saying it to their brother, I'm sorry for hitting you. So they apologize. They say, I'm sorry for hitting you. It's not okay because. So apologizing and saying the reason why it's not okay. I'm sorry for hitting you, and it's not okay because it hurt you. It physically hurt you. So I'm sorry. It's not okay because in the future, that's the other step, is in the future, I am going to take my anger out in a different way that doesn't involve hurting you. I'm going to choose to stomp my feet rather than hit you. So it's a commitment to how you're going to show up in the future. And then, please forgive me. That's the last piece, is asking for the forgiveness. So it's, I'm sorry. You take the responsibility. I'm sorry. It's not okay because of this. It helps you recognize and put yourself in the other person's shoes of why it is not okay, why it is that you're apologizing, and it helps the other person feel really heard and understood, that you're standing in their position and you understand why they may be feeling whatever they're feeling and why it's not okay. So I'm sorry that I hit you. It's not okay because it hurt. And I love you and I don't want to hurt you. Please forgive me. Or in the future, sorry, that was the third one. In the future, I am going to refrain from hitting you and take my anger out in a healthier manner. And the last thing is to ask for the forgiveness. So I'll give you another example. When my children are having a moment of upset and maybe disrespectful in their tone or in something that they've said that was hurtful, and they would say, I'm sorry, Mom, please forgive me for yelling at you, and it's not okay because it hurts your feelings and it makes you feel unloved. And so it's taking the responsibility. I'm sorry, it's not okay because in the future, I'm going to think about what I say and try not to be disrespectful. And will you please forgive me? So 4 steps. Take responsibility. It's not okay because. I'm sorry. It's not okay because. I'm fill in the blank. In the future, taking that responsibility and the commitment of how you're going to show up in the future. Please forgive me. It's powerful. So I'm sorry. It's not okay because in the future, I plan on showing up like this, and will you please forgive me? So that's the 4 steps to a powerful apology and to a proper apology. So even my 2-year-old, when she was 2, she's now 4, she could do the proper apology. She could go through the steps and actually, she had seen her brothers do it. She'd seen us do it with our children. And it's a powerful way to really feel heard and understood, and also to get that forgiveness. And to be able to let that go for yourself as well, and to create more balance and harmony in your own life. So try that on, see if that works too, to be able to release and to give a proper apology. So I feel like we have gone over a lot today, and I hope that with these nuggets, you can take them into your life and be able to move powerfully through any guilt that you may carry or have experienced, and just say no thank you to the guilt anymore, or say thank you for sharing to the guilt, and thank you, I love you, and I'm learning, and be able to bring in the forgiveness piece, be able to forgive yourself in a powerful way. And if you need to, then just write out whatever it is that you're feeling guilty for and how you're committed to showing up, and you can burn it, you can transmute that energy, whatever it is that you can do to lighten your load and step lighter be lighter. I hope this has served you in that capacity and sprinkled some love and light and joy into your world today. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being a part of this experience and conversation. And I look forward to our next episode. You can find more about all the episodes at Light Sprinkles on YouTube, and you can send me an email at lightsprinkles@gmail.com, and that's LIGHTSPRINGKLES. Light Sprinkles on YouTube and podcast, and lightsprinkles@gmail.com. Thanks again, and I look forward to speaking with you on our next episode. Bye for now.